Jane stood up from her bed to start preparing. It was Sunday morning and she had to be in church before Stewart's meeting starts. But somehow, for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel like going to church. She was in a state of dilemma and God seemed to be silent. She remembered the two guys who had been on her neck waiting for her answer to their proposal. She was meant to give each of them an answer today, but God hadn't spoken. She heaved a loud sigh as she gave herself a final look in the mirror, took her small red handbag and walked out of her room. All through the service, her mind kept wondering, God, what do you say? Is it Brother Bernard or Brother Soji? Her eyes made their way to where Bernard was sitting, and she saw him listening so attentively to the word shared by their pastor and also jotting in his fancy journal. Her heart skipped a beat. Bernard was the kind of man every woman would die for. His teeth and composure was always on point. He had a good fashion sense and enough money to express it. His spiritual life was also on point, very prayerful and sound in doctrine. Every lady in the fellowship had been trying to make him notice them. Which lady in her right mind wouldn't want to give him a yes the second he asked her out? Yet, Jane found herself hesitant. The more she considered the idea of them being a couple, the more she lost her peace. Was God trying to tell her something, or was it because of the cold stare Blessing had been giving her ever since she noticed Bernard was paying more attention than necessary to her? She also thought of Soji. If Bernard was a word, then Soji would be the direct opposite. He was everything Bernard wasn't, not in a good way of course. His dress sense was nothing to write home about. He seemed to be struggling with his finances. He was too quiet and unassuming to be on fire for God, and worst of all, he couldn't walk properly. To think both of them had asked her out on the same day was unimaginable. Was God playing tricks on her? How would she come out of this dilemma? Being a spiritual lady, Jane was bent on seeking the will of God on this matter. And the very fact that God hadn't spoken was what was keeping her from running into Bernard's arms. It had to be Bernard. Then the voice came right where she was seated. She knew it too well to miss it. It was the voice of the Holy Spirit. It wasn't Bernard that he wanted for her. It was Soji. She quickly went into denial as soon as the realization struck her. No, Lord, it can't be Soji. It has to be Bernard. But she knew she was only fooling herself. God had spoken and she had a choice to make. After service, Jane walked up to Bernard and told him no. Bernard was taken aback. He told her she didn't know what she was missing, but she stood her ground. She then walked up to Soji and said yes to his proposal. Soji was overjoyed, and even though a part of Jane was sad, her spirit leapt for joy that she had made the right choice. They both went to their pastor immediately and told him of their relationship. He prayed with them and admonished them. Few months later, they got married, and it had been a season of unending happiness for Jane. She discovered that Soji was truly spiritual and God-fearing. Also, his business started booming and he no longer struggled financially. Bernard, on the other hand, left the church when his secret sins became evident to other members. He wasn't the spiritual man he appeared to be. He was only being charismatic. Jane imagined what her life would have looked like if she had married Bernard. She was grateful for the wisdom of God that enabled her to make the right choice. Now, she's happily married to Soji, and they are both loving and serving God together. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.